This knot that I'm tying right now is a slipped version of the timber hitch. Okay, just pass that over there. A little bit of daisy chain on the end of that. You want this elongated. A timber hitch holds better when it's elongated. Alright. So this was tied in the bight, so one set of coils comes off this side of the bight, the other set of coils comes off the other side of the bight. Then I took the leftover rope and slipped it through the bight. Pushed the bight through the bight, made a bight in the leftover rope, and pushed that through the bight that I'd used, and then I daisy chained it for security. And so if the rope was thinking about slipping, this bight through the bight stops all that thought by the rope. It stops the rope from thinking. I guarantee you that rope will not think. Here we are untying my version of the slipped timber hitch. First, loosen the timber hitch this way. Then, just give the ripcord a yank. There you go. Here's a Siberian hitch. Now, I like to put a daisy chain, a couple of loops of daisy chain in after I tie a Siberian hitch to make this hitch much more stable. This is tied in the bight, so you don't need to go to the end to get your Siberian hitch. Now we're untying the Siberian hitch. Thank you, British actor Barry Farrimon. British actor and radio personality Barry Farrimon. Thank you. Now the Farrimon friction hitch is a slip and grip knot. I don't recommend it for hanging your hammock, but it's a good tarp knot. And after I tie it, I usually put a daisy chain in it, make it less likely to come undone. And this is a quick release knot also. I don't recommend using it for a hammock because if the rope slides on the rope, it can turn black and burn it, and then it's damaged and it's no good. Anyway, there's your Farrimon friction hitch. Here is a Carolina Becket hitch being tied. You have your continuous loop, locks headed onto the hammock, and you have the continuous loop, locks headed onto the strap. This is in replacing the regular Becket hitch, which works great if you tie it right. Now this knot also works great if you tie it right, but it has an element of forgiveness built into it. So here you are going to finish your Becket hitch or your slippery sheet bend, and at this point all you're tying is essentially a slipped half hitch around the continuous loop, around both sides of the continuous loop. So that is very similar to a Becket hitch, but it's already going through a lark's head. Now, what you're going to do here is give yourself a little bit more room. And the side that does not move, now you can see that this side moves, but this side does not. The side that does not move, place a slip knot, just like this, about an inch from the where it exits the hitch. And that slip knot will just sit there, and it won't be called on unless your rope is starting to slip, and or unless your strap is starting to slip. This slip knot, it has the properties of overhand knot, and so it'd be very difficult to pull through this this Carolina Becket, and it'd be impossible for it to pull through the lark's head. And so in the morning when you go to untie this or release it, you just pull your slip knot, and there's been no pressure put on it. Whoops, you can see it's twisting there. You don't want it twisting. Whoops, it's twisting some more. Anyway, you pull your slip knot out, and then you release your Carolina Becket. So here I'm going to tie the Carolina Becket one more time. You've got your lark's head there. You tie what amounts to a slipped half hitch to complete your Carolina Becket, and then for insurance, you take the side that does not move when you pull it, and you place a slip knot up real close to the exit of the hitch, and this will not come undone on you. Now, the reason that I made this knot was a friend of mine that I hang with from time to time at group hangs had his Becket hitch slip on him. Well, I can about guarantee you what he did, because he hikes. What he probably did, it was late at night, and now this is with the lark's head, but he was tying it, just going through, he was tying a Becket hitch. But anyway, what he probably ended up doing was he probably did this, you see. It's easy to do that. Let's just pretend that this was not going through a lark's head. He was supposed to do this, and it was dark and he was tired, and he did this. But if he had been tying the Carolina Becket through the lark's head, and then he had put this slip knot an inch from the exit, well, this would have held. It would have slipped down to the slip knot, ran into the lark's head, and it would have held for him. And so there you go. There's your insurance for your Carolina Becket when you're tired and it's got dark on you. And so the Becket hitch does not have the lark's head, but I'm tying it with the lark's head. But anyway, if he put that slip knot in there, then when he tied it wrong, that's the wrong way. Which is easy to do, you see. He's gone through his loop, and he said, oh, I'm done, I'm gonna lay down in my hammock. So anyway, what you want to do, so here's your Carolina Becket. You've got your lark's head, your strap going through your lark's head, and at this point all you're doing is a slipped half hitch to finish that, and this makes a Becket type knot. It makes a Becket type knot. You can see it's exactly like a Becket, except it's going through the lark's head first. And then all you do is you take the side of this that does not move, and you put a slip knot in it. Now, the other thing that you've got to do, whether you do the Becket hitch or whether you do the Carolina Becket hitch, is you have to tighten it up. Pull both sides there, push this down towards the end of your continuous loop, or towards your lark's head, whichever one you're tying. You have to pull both ends, you see. And if you pull both ends, then you might also see if you've tied it right. All right, so now we'll just go to untie this. You're going to untie it in the morning. So you just give this a yank here. There's your slip knot gone. It didn't have any pressure on it overnight because this didn't slip. But if it had slipped, then it would have pressure on it. But it's still quick release. And your Beckett or your Carolina Becket is quick release. So there you go. Here are two examples of ordinary shoelace tie. This one is the wrong way. If you see yourself or anybody else has the bows cattywampus to the shoes, or turned at a diagonal, or pointing the bow pointing down and up, that's wrong. What they have tied is a double slipped granny knot. Here is the same knot, except this is a double slipped square knot. And the double slipped square knot holds better and it looks better, but mainly it holds better. If you see somebody that's tied their shoe like this, and I tied my shoe like this for 45 years, it's wrong, because it comes undone multiple times a day. You end up having to put a great big old overhand knot in the top of it. Now, the easiest way to remedy that is to reverse the base knot. If you were doing the base knot like this, if you were doing it right over left, and you're coming up with your bow cattywampus, then just reverse the base knot where it's left over right. And then just tie the same bow that you've tied all your life. It's easier to reverse the base knot than it is to relearn, for your fingers to relearn to tie the bow part of it. Alright, now I'm going to show you how to tie the Ian Secure shoelace knot. You tie your base knot there, and then you make a bow or a bunny rabbit ear there on that side, and then you make a bow or a bunny rabbit here on this side. Then you'll notice that the part that comes up higher, the strand of rope that goes over that I'm touching with my index finger is above it. So you want to start your bow on the same side as that comes out on, so that it ties a square knot type of knot. All right, you're going to push your bunny rabbit ear through there, and then you're going to push your other bunny rabbit around in the opposite direction, and then you just tighten them, pull them. Now, what I do is after that, I pull these a little bit, and I usually push these together. I push these bands together just a little bit, and then I give them a pull. This works good with round shoelaces. It'll hold all day and it will not come undone. And then at the end of the day, there you go. Thank you, hammock campers.